family, how y'all doing? How you doing? If you're new, welcome to Earth Goddess TV. On this channel we talk about basic astrology and some spiritual topics. If you're new, welcome. If you're a part of the Earth Goddess gang, you already know what time it is. First and foremost, let me say I miss y'all. Yes, I know I've been away for 2 months, but the 2 month hiatus was much needed because with the transitions and all the stuff that was happening in the sky with all those retrogrades, your girl was feeling the transitions. Say the transitions were transitioning. So, I had to take some time off just to collect my thoughts and, just be in a state of peace and clarity, just had some things going on. I felt that it needed to necessarily to take a break, much needed break, which I did. And plus, it's kind of like in my nature to kind of, you know, kind of introverted. So, to kind of like be away for periods of the time. So this is nothing out of the norm for me in this channel anyway. Um, I know with time, because I have a lot of things going on in the background, I would like to be more present on this channel. But for now, we're going to keep rocking how we've been rocking. So, how has the transit's been treating y'all? Because I know I can say for me personally, um, a lot of rebirths and transformations. I know I've mentioned that a few times on my videos, but just looking at my astrological placements and specifically my Mars and Pluto, I've definitely had a lot of transformations happening, a lot of realizations, a lot of changes that I've had to go through once again. But I understand with the placement of my not Pluto, oh my God, I feel like I'm still in Mercury retrograde. With my placement in Pluto, the theme of my life is a lot of rebirth and renewal and transitions. So, it's just now getting to the point where I'm okay with those transitions, and I'm welcoming more the transitions more. So they're not as stressful when certain things hit astrologically in the sky. It's a little bit easier for me to deal with things. But of course, a much needed break from social media and things like that does take a play into that. So jumping back fresh off the press 2 month hiatus break, I wanted to talk about the part of fortune and basically what it represents in astrology, and basically how you can kind of activate your part of fortune based on its house placement. So that is what I wanted to get into today. So if you are not familiar with the part of fortune and what it represents in astrology, basically, if we start with the symbol, it is a circle with the cross in the middle. I'm pretty sure if you look at your astrological chart, you'll see that symbol. And that's what it is. It's actually a part of fortune, that circle with the cross in the middle. Now, in astrology, the part of fortune represents our prosperity, our worldly success, our joy, and our happiness. So, basically, like your bliss. So, when we talk about part of the fortune in the first house, you will find your joy, your happiness through self expression, whether that's through how you communicate, your clothes, your personality. Basically, being an individual and not as afraid of expressing your individuality in any way that you see fit, that is natural to you. Trusting your unique approach to life and bravely pursuing that, without any hesitation. Positives for a person who has a part of fortune in the first house. You can be very self-reliant, very independent, healthy confidence. Negative things, on the opposite end, you can be too dependent on others, fearing conflict or fearing just standing alone. So, if you do have a part of fortune in the first house, make sure you express yourself the best way you see fit in the way that is most natural to your being. So, because with the part of fortune placement here, this is where you're going to find possibly worldly success and your deeper and innermost happiness and joy from this part of fortune in this first house by expressing yourself in an authentic way. Okay, let's jump in a part of fortune in the second house. Now, the second house, we're dealing with your self value, your self esteem, your self worth, and not only that, but things that are valuable to you, and whether it be materials or people that's valuable to you, security. All this goes within the second house. So if you have the part of fortune in your second house, You can find happiness or success through your values, building upon your self-worth. This can be done through example, building your financial security, building just security in general, whether that's material, emotional, and also making sure you have that inner security as well, and also making sure your inner values are actually displayed and built upon also. You will be happiest when you attract wealth and resources to yourself that cannot be controlled by other people or outside forces. So, positive aspects of a person with a part of fortune in the second house: they're secure, they're established, they're self-reliant, and they're loyal. Negatively, part of fortune here: low self-value, low self-worth, fear of failure, feeling like you need that outside validation. And one thing too, being that this is also tied to self-worth and self-esteem, not allowing yourself to become so absorbed by dominant sexual energy of others as well. So you have to be careful with the part of fortune here in the second house with that. But to find your bliss and your happiness here in a part of fortune, if you have the part of fortune in the second house, make sure that you build your security, whether that's your internal insecurity and security of the things around you, whether that's your home, your finances, or your physical security. Part of fortune in the third house. Our third house deals with our communication, and not only our communication, but how we communicate things within our immediate environment, whether that be our neighbors, our siblings, short distance travel. So you think of part of fortune here, the happiness comes from communication, being understood by others. The greatest joy also comes from just expressing, sharing, and also connecting with others, and also listening to others as well. Positive traits here: of course, they're great listeners, they're great observers, excellent communicators. If it's negatively aspected, they can be overly opinionated, too self-righteous, and fear of looking stupid. So for my third houses, my part of fortune in the third houses, make sure to activate that part of fortune here. You make sure you are communicating and expressing yourself, and also sharing and connecting with others as well, and being a great listener. And you can activate, maybe worldly not worldly possessions, my goodness, but you can access that worldly success and that joy and happiness that you are looking to get. Part of fortune in the fourth house. So our fourth house deals with our traditions, our family, a lot of the time our ancestry, things within the family realm. So with the part of fortune here, your greatest fulfillment comes from giving to others, putting down strong family roots, nurturing, beginning or crafting ideals or projects related to homes, traditions, ancestry. Also creating those internal roots and sense of home within yourself as well. So if you have a part of fortune in the fourth house, make sure that you are in a position to where you're able to nurture the things within this realm, and lay down roots and traditions or create your own. Positives from the part of fortune in the fourth house is being that nurturing, supporting figure to others, accepting your insecurities as well. Part of fortunes in the fourth house. So how you can win here? Just making sure that you're able to nurture things that are important to you, specifically when it comes to the homes. So crafting or creating your ideals or projects related to home, family, ancestry, make sure that you're able to do that, and you may find your gold here. Now, negatives here can be you're too dependent. You always need the approval of family and friends, and you're kind of fear of independent or stepping out on your own here, if negatively aspected. So let's jump into the fifth house, part of fortune. If you have a part of fortune here in the fifth house, the greatest joy and worldly success can come from adapting a childlike attitude when it comes to your passions, your desires, your creativity. Because now we're in a house of course, desires, passion, creativity, romance, play, art, kids. This is the fun house, the fifth house. So when you take a childlike attitude and approach to things that give you that burning desire to create or have passion for, do that. That's going to point you in a direction to possible success and happiness. Positives here: you're very self-confident, you have a healthy self-love, you follow the true desires of your heart, and you don't let others interfere with that. Negatives here: if it's negatively aspected, you may give in to peer pressure from time to time, and you often care too much what others may think of you. So we have our part of fortune here in the sixth house. So when we look at our sixth house, we look at basically our service to others, our daily hustle and bustle, our grind, basically the daily routines, the details of life here. So the greatest joy, if you have a part of fortune here in the sixth house, the greatest joy will be in taking care of the details of the everyday life, being physically healthy, and also being of to service to others in a way that empowers you and actually shows your natural talents and gifts. So remember, if you have the part of fortune here, you know, don't be afraid to find joy in the small details in life, because this is where your goal is, and this is where you can be effective not only to yourself but others as well. Negatively aspected, you really have no self-confidence, you're actually too self-sacrificing and way too overly analytical. Positively aspected, you're reliable, you're empathetic, and you're analytical, but it's grounded, it's healthy. So remember, part of fortunes in the sixth house. Your greatest joy will come in taking care of the details of everyday life, being physically healthy as well, or teaching others how to physically take care of themselves and live a healthier life. All right, so when it comes to our part of fortune in the seventh house, your happiness and your greatest sense of accomplishment and happiness will come through your healthy, conscious partnerships that you create with others. And within these partnerships, there has to be balance, there has to be harmony. This is where you're going to win. Positives within this: you're fair, you're cooperative, you're aware of others' needs as well as your own. Negatively aspected, this could come off as you're competitive, you're self-assertive, you're uncompromising, and you're very selfish. So part of fortunes in the seventh house, you're to activate that part of fortune, just make sure that you focus on creating healthy, balanced relationships, and this will activate your part of fortune in your seventh house. So now let's jump into the part of fortune in the eighth house. Our eighth house is the heavier house. It deals with the taboo things: sex, death, taxes, when you're divorced, who gets what, all of the stuff that we do not really want to deal too much with in life. So the part of fortune here is a unique placement. I haven't seen too many placements like this, but this is my placement, and this is a placement I'm not happy with, but I've learned to work with it and use it in ways that have benefited me, and I know will continue to benefit me. So when you're talking about the part of fortune here in the eighth house, the happiness and the bliss and possibly that success will come through. It comes through what is granted and gifted to you by others. So allowing others to teach you value systems that may differ from yours, so you can learn, grow, and apply these value systems to benefit your life. Now, when I mean what's granted or gifted to you, this can come through inheritance, maybe sharing resources, or just you being showing humility to the ones you may be taking care of, or anything in that situation. The key here is to regenerate yourself through intimacy with the value of others. So, again, with being open to releasing, being open to learning others' value system, not really being afraid of saying the unknown or failure, or actually being kind of paranoid and thinking that, a person may have motives and they may not be showing you the right information or giving you the right thing. So, positives here for the power of fortune in the eighth house is releasing self-concern, and also stagnancy and strongholds. And this can manifest as far as in being overly in your head to where it creates a stagnancy or a stronghold on your thoughts. So you're so you know, uh, you're so into yourself and what's going on internally, you're not really realizing the strongholds and the stagnancy that it's creating in your life because you're not creating any movement here. So again, for the part of fortune in the eighth house, that to activate it, you're gonna have to find that happiness through what's gifted and granted to you through others, whether that's through inheritance, your personal relationships, things in the heavier part of life. So this is a unique placement. Again, if negatively aspected, you can basically fear, again, like I mentioned before, the motives of others, being blind to the values of others either, and just having irrational fears about the unknown and failure. So you want to be careful for that with the part of fortune here in the eighth house. Now let's jump to the ninth house. I have to stretch my legs. Ugh. So the ninth house, the part of fortune here, your greatest joy will come from discovering your truth, exploring, expanding consciousness, and understanding of the universe. Explore, expand both internal and external worlds. Explore spirituality, higher knowledge, anything within that realm, law, religion. Let your soul lead the way. Remember, with the part of fortune here, this is in the house of education, spirituality, long distance travel, law, religion. So, you know, positively aspected here, you can activate this house by activating this activating your part fortune by trusting in your intuition, walking in your truth, and just making sure you always keep an open mind and don't be afraid to explore and expand. So a part of fortunes in the ninth house, your greatest joy will come in through exploring your truth and allowing your intuition to be that internal guide. Negatively aspected, too mentally overstimulated, second guessing, missing the point. If you trust your intuition, you eliminate all of these. Part of fortune in the 10th house. The 10th house represents basically our career, our worldly success, how society sees us. So your joy comes from doing things that make you feel respected by others. You also like to inspire others to model the same behavior as you as well. So you find fulfillment, through these things and your ambitions. Working hard to achieve that success, and also social acceptance, how others view you in this light, is important to you as well. So you can also share this with others by teaching them and mentoring them as well. So that'll add to, that joy of making you feel respected, because not only are you saying what you're doing, you'll be a model for what you're doing, but you also have the opportunity to be a model for others to follow that same model and be successful like you. Positives, you have self-respect, you're letting go of dependency of any kind, and you accept responsibility. Negatively aspected, you fear rejection, you're overly dependent, and you're not able to take charge. And you have a very self-defeating, defeatist attitude. So remember the part of fortune here in the 10th house and how to properly activate it. Make sure that you are not only working hard, but you're inspiring others to model after you as well, but not just being that model force, but also being able to share your talents and ideals with other people by teaching them and mentoring them to do some of the things that you've done. So we're going to jump into the part of fortune in the 11th house. Now with the 11th house here, part of fortune, you will find the greatest joy by cultivating a community of like-minded people and turning these ideals into reality. Also honing in on your unique and unconventional approach to situations, people, or life. This is where your greatest joy is going to come from, because this is the people social house. This is your friends, your house, how the world views you, groups, organizations. So the more you accept and cultivate your unique and unconventional approach to these things, the happier you'll be. Positively aspected, you have a humanitarian approach to things. You're a humanitarian at heart. You're independent. You crave freedom in all things, especially your relationships and your friendships. And you see the value in others. Negatively aspected, you can be detached, cold, aloof, resisting social pressures and fearing loss of freedom. Our last house here is the part of fortune in the 12th house. So the 12th house is our heavier house. It deals with our subconscious mind, our karmic energy, past energy, uh, karmic things that we're blind to, your undoing, all of that stuff. So your greatest joy and happiness here will come from being attentive and nurturing your inner being as much as possible. Remember, part of fortune here is more of the subconscious, the underworld type of energy. So when you're able to connect to yourself and your soul in an attentive and nurturing way, you're able to transmute that inner intensity through a creative project. So also aligning with your higher self, this is going to help you as well for anyone who has the part of fortune in the 12th house. Being attentive and nurturing to your inner being and allowing your soul to connect. And when you feel that inner intensity, transmute it. Whether that's through a creative idea, project, using your imagination to do something. And this is a part of aligning with your higher self. So positively aspected here, you're connected with the universe. You're not only that, but you're trusting the process of the universe as well. You're helping or providing services through your empathy and having true compassion and understanding of others because you have this placement here. So you may have the ability to understand people in ways that, say, their friends or family cannot understand them because you specifically have this placement here. And you can help them get through things. Negatively aspected, these are worry warts. You could be a obsessive worrier, a victim of your own imagination, because again, this is dealing with the 12th house, the subconscious mind. So you could be a victim of your own imagination. Compulsive need for order. So these are all things that can negatively come from this if it is negatively aspected. So that will complete this series of the part fortune through the houses family. So I did want to chat a little bit with you all basically about, just like the transits and kind of how to handle them, because that was really one of the bigger reasons why I took my 2-month hiatus, because a lot of the transitions in the sky were doing me dirty as fuck. So there's no other way for me to put that. So I felt that I needed that break, that time away, because like how everything was lining up, it just was not hitting me the correct way. So now that I am in a better place, I feel a little bit more comfortable to talk about it. So I did just want to run that across you all. So if you all have had any unique experiences during these retrogrades and these transitions that we've been experiencing astrologically, please feel free to get down in the comments below and share them with me, because I know for me, especially when it came to just old thoughts and belief systems that I used to carry around, I had basically had a renewal and a transformation in that area. Just on my mindset, on just on life in general, on how to handle everything. Also, when it came to career wise, I was having that energy hit me hard as well, because I have yet to experience another transition when it comes to my career, or say job per se, which I'm getting used to. And this was actually a much needed transition. This was a transition that I decided to make on my own. But with most transitions, they come with a little bit of opposition, which I was prepared for. But I feel like the steps that I made was much needed, and I'm glad that that portion of the sky has passed and I don't have to continue to remain in that energy. So I did want to chat about that. But again, family, I miss you all. Thank you so much for rocking with me on my channel. This is a small channel, but I literally adore the family that follow me. It's not a lot of us here, but it's family to me, and I appreciate anyone who sits through my videos, take the time to watch, and it could feel that I'm a vessel for them to deliver information that they may not understand themselves. I'm glad I can be that for you, because astrology is something that I hold near and dear to my heart, and I love it. It doesn't run my life or control my life, but I use it as a guidance system. And this is why I created this channel. So I'm not going to basically babble too much. I will see you all in the next video.